The use of plastics has increased dramatically since the 1940s. Plastic is both durable and strong, which allows it to stay in the ocean for long periods of time. It takes a piece of plastic 500 to 1,000 years to degrade in the ocean, which affects marine organisms.
Trash and plastic reach the ocean in multiple ways. People visiting the beach may leave their trash behind. Ships at sea may accidentally or deliberately empty their trash into the ocean, and trash thrown in rivers or sewers ends up in the ocean.
In general, people think that trash debris would be dispersed throughout the ocean, making it extremely unlikely for an animal to encounter it. However, this is not the case. While the ocean does disperse the trash, it also runs in currents, which keeps floating trash traveling in gyres, concentrating the trash in areas where currents meet.
One of these gyres is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch off the coast of California. Is twice the size of Texas, and the plastic here outnumbers sea life 6 to 1.
Adding to the danger it causes to the ocean, plastic does not biodegrade. Instead, it breaks up into smaller pieces and never fully goes away. About 90% of marine debris is plastic, with 46,000 pieces per square mile.
Many fishing boats throw their nets into the ocean when they are finished. These nets then cause fish, birds, marine animals, reptiles, and other organisms to become entangled. This is called ghost fishing. Both seals and whales can get caught in plastics or discarded nets when diving down for food.
Plastic's devastating effects on marine mammals was first observed in the late 1970s, when the National Marine Mammal Laboratory scientists concluded that the plastic entanglement was killing 40,000 seals a year. In the last 30 years, the seal population has declined by 50%. Seals also often play with pieces of plastic netting or packaging, which catch on their necks and construct their movement, killing the seals through starvation, exhaustion, or an infection from deep wounds caused by the trash. Plastic floating in the sea looks just like jellyfish to turtles. Because of this, plastic is often mistaken for food. If a sea turtle eats it, the plastic will clog their intestines, which causes them to miss out on vital nutrients, eventually starving them to death. A similar thing happens with seabirds. They often mistake plastic pellets for fish eggs, small crab, and other prey.
100,000 marine mammals and 1 million seabirds die each year from ingesting or becoming tangled in the trash.
Plastic becomes unusually toxic as it enters the ocean. Plastic particles are magnets for different types of pollutants such as DDT and POPs. They also expel harmful chemicals like BPA. Organisms at the bottom of the food chain, like plankton and krill, ingest the chemicals and microscopic particles of plastic.
As larger fish consume the smaller ones, the chemicals work their way up to the top of the food chain, harming the marine animals and the humans. 267 species around the world are harmed by plastic. 380 billion plastic bags are used in the United States each year. That's 1,200 bags per United States resident per year.
Oil wastes that enter the ocean come from many sources, such as accidental spills or leaks, and some being the result of chronic and careless habits in the use of oil and oil products.
Most oil waste in the ocean consists of oily stormwater drainage from cities and farms, untreated waste disposal from factories and industrial facilities, and unregulated recreational boating.
Approximately 706 million gallons of waste oil enter the ocean every year, with over half coming from land, drainage, and waste disposal. For example, from the improper disposal of used motor oil.
Offshore drilling and production operations and spills or leaks from ships typically contribute less than 8% of the total. The remainder comes from the routine maintenance of ships, hydrocarbon particles from onshore air pollution, and natural seepage from the sea floor.
When oil is spilled in the ocean, it initially spreads in the water depending on its relative density and composition. The oil-slicked form may be cohesive or may break up in the case of rough seas. Waves, water currents, and winds may force the oil slick to drift over large areas, impacting the open ocean, coastal areas, and marine and terrestrial habitats in the path of the drift.
Oil spills present the potential for enormous harm to deep ocean and coastal fishing and fisheries. The immediate effects of toxic and smothering oil waste may be mass mortality and contamination of the fish and other food species, but long-term ecological effects may be worse.
Oil waste poisons the sensitive marine and coastal organic substrate, interrupting the food chain on which fish and sea creatures depend on, and on which their reproductive success is based on.
Wildlife other than fish and sea creatures, such as mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and birds that live in or near the ocean, are also poisoned by oil waste.
The hazards for wildlife include toxic effects of exposure or ingestion, injuries such as smothering and deterioration of thermal insulation, and damage to the reproductive systems and behaviors.
Long-term ecological effects that contaminate or destroy the marine organic substrate that interrupt the food chain are also harmful to the wildlife, so species populations may change or disappear.
Yeah, so it's better when we're together.